first came in, you guys did all sorts of diagnostics and tests, if you will. So yeah, if you just want to talk about and explain the starting processes, what would you do for somebody that came in and had back pain?
Well, basically what we would do is that we would look to see all the contributing things to the back issue. So if there's a muscle imbalance, why is it there? What's contributing to it? So we take a whole body approach to these things. But the other thing that we do that's outside of the realm of what everyone else does is we look for imbalances in the brain as to how those things are promoting the issue in the low back or wherever else. And most athletes are going to have it. I mean, most athletes have suffered in some point in their career concussion, which we know damages areas that control posture, stability. And what we've noticed over the years is that these things just don't fix themselves. Athletes just maladapt to it.
Yeah, you might notice that you always get a problem on the right side, and you probably have some of your left brain's not working good as your right.
And that is exactly what I had.
Yeah, so then we did something to your left brain and your right symptoms got better. So we knew we were on a track with it, so we could accelerate your changes through the acupuncture, the adjustments, etc.
Yes.
And the problem is if these don't get corrected, then there's other compensations and other joints that tend to come out. And so now and you see this now, they get one injury, then they get another, and then they get another. Happens all the time because they might be functional on what they got first, but then something else happens. And being an athlete, you don't want any downtime at all.
That's right. So, but yeah, so they diagnosed me. I had some left brain problems. Generally, all my injuries were on the right side, so they were spot on there.
A way of looking at it is this way: is the way your hemispheres work with each other is that, as an example, every time you activate the right hemisphere, you automatically inhibit the left. So you dampen it out. Mm-hmm. So then when you activate the left, you dampen out the right. But when people develop asymmetries that are significant, they can have depression on the left, as in your case. Mm-hmm. If you do things to activate your right brain, you might dampen out your left to the point where it can't control muscle function, it can't stabilize a joint, etc. And with you, it's interesting because when you spin left, right? Mm-hmm. When you throw.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that left spin is going to activate your right brain. So you inherently, through your training, have built an asymmetry.
Yeah.
And it can get to the point where also now you develop a chronic injury that doesn't go away.
Oh, yeah.
And your perceptions, like this side of the world and this side, they're seen by different parts of the brain, so it doesn't match, and then you get all that anxiety you talked about. Things you're not sure what it is, but it doesn't feel quite right.
So yeah, so this applies to not only just hammer throws, but pretty much any sort of throwers out there, especially shot put, discus. We all generally turn the same way, and I think even for most other sports, let's say if you're playing soccer and you're kicking with the same side every time, I'm sure that could throw
sprinters,
speed
skaters, always going the same way.
Well, we had one professional hockey player. He wouldn't go one way because he knew that he wasn't good. So he just wouldn't go that way, but after a while people kind of started to notice this. So that didn't work, so we actually had to fix so he could go there and he felt good. So I don't think we realize that, we just make automatic compensations because you are a professional athlete and you do the best. But in the end run, it's gonna ruin your end game.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if you fix, could make a big difference in performance, and that's what we were after. So,
and the fun thing working with guys like you is that you're motivated, you're healthy, and you respond because you have the base to respond to it. Right. Some people, as we get older and stuff like that, it becomes more difficult because you don't have that base to respond. So basically, we do a lot of work when we look at various types of eye movements and how the eyes move under different conditions. And the reason we do that is that the areas of the brain that control eye movements are also intricately involved in controlling pain perception. So we often see a real good correlate between athletes who have chronic pain, who have suffered a concussion, and residual alterations in their eye movements. So if you don't rehab those things, it can promote a chronic issue that an athlete struggles with for a very long time.
Yeah, well, that stuff just blows my mind. It's very interesting.
And that's one of the things we look for you, and you have some minor changes that didn't look that significant, but just making those differences actually takes you to that next level.
Yeah, and these sort of, like you said, the eye problems and stuff like that is a product of some sort of brain trauma, essentially, right? So whether it be concussion, head trauma.
Yeah.
So that could be, whether it be from like a football hit, from getting knocked in the head, whatever it might be.
Car accident.
Car accidents, exactly. Yeah.
People see stars, they probably jostle their brain a little bit.
Yeah, like we used to think years and years ago that if you just smacked your head, you don't have to knock yourself out to have a concussion. And the general line of thinking was, well, just let the brain rest, it's going to fix itself. But what we've learned is that that's not the case, that athletes develop residuals, athletes develop adaptations or maladaptations. And if you just keep treating the body part and it's not changing, there's a good chance that the brain's involved and there's been some maladaptive changes that have occurred. A lot of people say they're into brain-based treatments, and a lot of people tend to take a general approach. Okay, like, well, we know this is going to affect the brain. Well, what we've learned is that it's not guaranteed. I mean, you can physically do things that are going to increase the imbalance in your brain and decrease your performance, though you're doing a brain-based treatment. Okay, so what we try to do is that we try to measure things, and we measure areas that we can identify with different parts of the brain, and then we correlate that to what's happening with the athlete and how it's hindering their performance, and then we apply a treatment, and then we measure again. And if we get improvement in those measurements, then we know we're on the right track. If we don't, it's real simple, we have to change it.
Right, we know those measurements, we know the pain's going to get better because the measurement shows that we now have a more efficient brain. Or maybe a lot of times people, when they injure a certain part of the brain, they become anxious, don't even know why. Part of their brain is injured.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
and it's some of our,
it's called behavior. It's when people want to have this brain turn off, their behavior changes.
right.
And they don't know what it is, and they just kind of learn to adapt to it.
Yeah, so if you guys are in the Minnesota area, this is where you need to be. Minnesota Concussion Chiropractic Arts.
Yeah, and if it's
athlete, general population, doesn't matter. They can make your injuries better. They can take your performance to the next level, whatever it might be. Yeah, I will link their website below in the description, so be sure to stop by there and check them out. If you guys have any questions for Dr. Klotzik or Dr. Stussy, drop them in the comments below, and maybe we can do another video sometime.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right,
cool.
thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate it.